Welcome, punters, to another episode of the Whispers Racing podcast. Big Group 1 weekend, and as always, I'm joined by Matty. How are you, Matty?
Very well, Worm. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Cracking weekend. I reckon it's the toughest weekend on the punt we're probably going to have.
Well, you messaged me and said, "Oh, let's review a few of the Group Ones." I said, "Okay, well, one, two, three, four, six. We're going to do all six."
We're going to attempt to do all six.
Okay.
One in Melbourne, 5 in Sydney. I thought they're good races to talk about. The good race horses are back in, obviously up in Sydney, and yeah, I think punters will get more out of it.
Absolutely cracking weekend of racing. Yeah, Rosehill, Autumn Carnival, perfect.
And it's raining in Sydney, so it must be autumn.
Absolutely. What are we going to
Um,
get? Surely it stays in the soft zone.
yeah. It's interesting coming off Sydney races last week. It was a bottom track with no rain in sight.
Mm.
I did interestingly hear the track manager say, I don't know what the participants were complaining about, which I
Okay.
found a very weird comment, considering a lot of people came out and said the track was a disgrace and shouldn't have been that track rating on a big day of racing. And yeah, he just made those comments. And I'm like, fair enough, defend yourself, but just staying silent might have been enough.
Yes. Well, fingers crossed. It's not too wet when we were going around at Rosehill this weekend.
No, but it'll be standard soft track. Yeah, previewing all the group ones, bets around the grounds, multi. I think we missed by one or two again. Pineapple of the week. Did you get
We got a first and a couple of placings.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, Carini got us knocked down in the first leg. Very disappointed. Loomed up and just didn't want to get past a few of the horses. So, yeah, Bold Bastille was good.
mm,
And what was in the last up in Sydney that got done?
Tabby
Tabby
time.
time. Tabby time. Yes.
Yeah. I think we got hurt by the fact that grand final was in a couple of weeks and they kept it pretty quiet that it was going to run in, I think, the Midway Championship.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
So,
so be.
yeah, that's it.
We'll pass it across, and I'm sure you've got a few in mind.
I love it when I get it because it's always the hardest fucking weekend of punting. But we'll find it, and I reckon we've got it. Punters, if you're a first-time listener or watcher, I hope you enjoy the show. Please subscribe to our YouTube or any podcast platform that you are listening to. When we find you plenty of winners, please head over to Spotify. Please rate our podcast because everything we do is for free, no hidden paywalls. We do it for the love of it. So the appreciation, all we ask for is just give us a rating out of 5 on Spotify. Like it on YouTube as well. If you want, interact on YouTube. I'd love to reply to you guys. Yeah, let us know what you think. Love to hear from you. We run a WhatsApp group. DM one of us if you want to get involved. It's heating up. Sport all round and bets are flying. Talking points this week, matey. We've got a few. It's been a pretty quiet week, I reckon, for racing. Moonee Valley have made some moves over the spring, moving the Moya goes to September, their opening night of racing. And then Manikato and the Fian have moved to Grand Final Eve, which moves the McEwen Group 2 to Cox Plate Day to replace it. Now, personally, I like the move. We know the Fian wasn't actually a good field and Cox Plate worthy. So I think moving it forward to 4 weeks out, we'll get a possible better field to get in. And then Manikato, well, if you take Imperatriz out last year, it was a pretty weak Group 1, probably the worst Group 1 we're probably going to see. She saved the day. So they've moved it to get it away from the Everest. I don't mind it, but it just leaves that hole on Cox Plate Day because it was always good having another Group 1. Your thoughts, Matty?
Well, Jack Ginnivan's going to be exceptionally happy. Hawks won't be playing in the granny this year, so he'll be able to get to the long on grand final eve and watch a Group 1. So I'm sure Jack will be exceptionally happy with that. Look, I enjoyed Cox Plate Day, having the Group 1 as the last race of the day. I thought it worked well. I know it was only moved a couple of years ago because we had the unfortunate weather on a Friday night. But I can see their angle. Look, it's an interesting one that we're having to move Melbourne races to accommodate Sydney races. I don't think we
Yep.
would have been saying that, or thought we would have been saying that a few years ago.
No, I thought we all probably would have thought our prize money would stack up, but clearly it's not. And yeah, look, a mishap became a rewarding for that last race being a Group One, and yeah, it worked. But maybe it's to do with, I think, also just thinking on the fly here. Maybe it's got to do with the turnover as well. They want the turnover to be a bit bigger. Maybe taking the Manicato out won't hurt it as much because they'll have the world pull on Cox Plate Bait possibly. So yeah, interesting. Hopefully it works. I think looking at it, it's going to work. If you listen to Jared Waitley, he gave it an absolute caning and
Hmm.
didn't like it. And I don't agree with him. I normally just let their
Look,
opinions go, but not for me.
yeah, I didn't hear Waitley, but I do question the fact of how many non-enthusiast racing followers are going to be too interested on grand final eve. So I wonder if they're potentially not playing to the masses by having a Group One on grand final eve. That would be my only consideration. But also understand the fact that if they're not going to have the field that they require for a Group One, then action was required. So yeah, interesting.
But they reckon it's grand final night's their second biggest night. So
I understand that more so from a crowd perspective.
hmm,
I'm more talking about the participants watching on TV, having a punt, whether it be at the pub or I wouldn't imagine it's going to be as high turnover as potentially a couple of weeks later.
yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to stack it up. If I
Mm.
remember, I'll do it, but I'm guaranteed Waitley will do it because he'll have the bee in his bonnet and he'll expose it. Um, Quick one, Gold Trip. Unfortunately, done attending a retirement looks likely. Geez, it should have won a Caulfield Cup, a Cox Plate in the same year, but hey, he got a Melbourne Cup, and geez, I think he was a bloody good horse. He probably could have won another major this spring if he wasn't trained to the absolute ground.
Yep,
Just
absolutely. One of the better imports we've had. So yeah, fingers crossed for Gold Trip. Would be great to see back at the races, but as you said, doing a 10 at this age, yeah, a little bit unlikely. I would have to think.
Yeah, he's got nothing more to prove. I don't think he's done his job winning a
Mm.
Melbourne Cup. Um, One thing I found interesting, Matty, here, I didn't think this was it was going to happen, but it is. Bids for the 2026 Caulfield Cox Plate, sorry, are underway. So Caulfield, obviously, there's going to be a bidding war, and looks like Caulfield or Flemington are the two major suitors. So Caulfield will run this race after their carnival. You know, I think it's three carnivals in a week, inside a week. Or Flemington have it before their big 4-day carnival. Now we know the track is absolutely busted by day 4 at the Flemington Carnival, and no disrespect to the ground staff there, they do an amazing job to do it in 4 days. I just don't know who's the right fit here. And the CEO hasn't ruled out other clubs. So that must mean like Mornington or Pakenham or Cranbourne. Now, why wouldn't Sandown be the right fit? They won't have much racing that time of year. Perfect track. Every horse gets their chance. Hillside's never bias. Surely MRC would go, oh, Sandown's a good fit, but they won't. Matty?
Well, I think you just ruled it out because of the non-bias. It'll be the first non-bias movie or Cox Plate I think we've ever had. Anyway, look, I think it's out of the big two, unless they want to. Yeah, I guess if someone does want to throw ridiculous money at it from one of the other clubs, I couldn't necessarily see that happening. But um, yeah, an interesting one or an interesting approach by Moonee Valley, putting out the old bidding war to see who wants that extra spring racing carnival day.
So I'll put this to you, Matty. Who's the major betting company of Moonee Valley?
Ladbrokes.
So Caulfield has Sportsbet
Yep.
and Flemington have TAB.
Yes.
Now, how is that going to work when the Cox Plate comes around? Like I can't believe they're bidding on it. I think it should be just Racing Vic just go, right, you're having it. Unfortunately, Mooney Valley, you're shutting down because you want to upgrade. Tough titties, it moves. There shouldn't be a bidding war because it's just going to get sticky. Like Sportsbet, Ladbrokes, Tab, they're not going to come together and work something out. No way. Like this is just, I think it's going to be an absolute shit show for me.
Hmm. It'll be interesting to see what the sponsors have to say about that. Because yeah, a number of big sponsors that have a lot of input at these particular racetracks.
Yeah, and I know Ladbrokes and Tab do not get along one iota. They hate each other with a passion. So Sportsbet are probably the only ones that might just creep in and go, "We'll take it for Caulfield." So
Anyone else? Ladbrokes got any other racetracks in Victoria?
no, but they're trying to get in the Sydney market and put all their stuff in Sydney pubs now.
Ooh, okay.
So
So
there
so
might
the
be a
Mooney,
little.
so Mooney Valley are going to head north. Have they
Well, don't
called
write off.
Uncle? Have they
Don't
have they called Uncle Peter
wait.
and said, Pete, mate, your coffers are full, and we want a piece of it. You're gonna have the Cox Plate for you.
I wouldn't rule him out. If I was Sportsbet, I'd have a market on PVL just taking over. Oh, mate, that'd be all-time laughter if he did it. But no,
Uh,
stay tuned. It'd be interesting what's going to happen. They reckon by the middle of this year, they'll have an announcement. So
okay.
let the bids begin. All right, Group 1 racing, Matty. Let's start Mooney Valley. Let's get them underway early because they've only got one.
Yes.
William Reid, 1,200 metres. I think the talking point here is Imperatriz. Barrier 10, every chance to be 3 wide with cover, possibly. But I think he's going to be worse than midfield. Now, with that, do you want to take $1.75 for that map? Bit like Mr. Brightside a couple of weeks, 7 days ago. I feel they can't go forward because of the pace from hypothetical Queen of Ball, IME, Q-Man. If the astrologist rolls forward from 8, then Imperatriz has something to follow to get to sit more forward, maybe midfield. Fascinating speed map, vital. Your thoughts, Matty?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to take the $75 radio we'll probably get. I think we've seen Imperatriz before at the Valley, especially with not necessarily sitting up on pace. I think we've seen it in a couple of bounds get up to where it needs to be around the corner at Mooney Valley. Now, I didn't necessarily back it last start at the Newmarket, and that was because I wasn't 100% convinced about its win down the straight in the Lightning. So I wasn't with it, but much happier to be with it around the corner at the Valley. I think that's a spot that it likes, and I think it's going to have enough speed in this race to get into the position it needs to around the corner, have that turn of foot to be able to well and truly get the job done here. So, yep, Worm, if you're offering me $1.80, I will be taking it.
Wow. Okay. Obviously, if you go back 12 months ago, we know what Imperatriz did. Sat 3 wide, hot pace, just put him to the sword. And I think you said earlier before the show, Matty, she has a better turn of foot with cover, and she puts him to the sword pretty quick when she gets going.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I think that happens, but I don't personally want to take $1.75, but I don't personally want to take her on because her best at the Valley is unbeatable. I don't know about IME to turn the tables on Imperatriz back in the Manacata. It was 3 lengths, but is mapped advantage to do it, but there's early money for IME, so that's a bit scary too. Cylinder from Barrier 1, it's scary for me because Mooney Valley Barrier 1 can be quite a shitty watch. And the booking of Bo Mertens here, I think it's even scarier. He's been off with an injury. He's just started coming back. Hasn't hit the world on fire, which is quite normal after an injury. Wanted to find the horse, but Barrier and Jockey scare me. So I just don't know if I can even recommend it at $6. Great win last start. only went down by 1 length in the Everest, and that's why I wanted to find this horse. But just wow, barrier 1, Bo Mertens, not for me. The runner I'm with here, and I think I'm hoping more than anything with this horse, Bella Nipotina, always on the heels of Imperatriz in run, always following it everywhere it goes. I noticed Bella Nipotina's, as I said, on the arse of Imperatriz. If they want to run on Saturday, they want to win on Saturday, they must be in front of Imperatriz in the run. John Allen goes on board from Willow, scares me a little. They have barrier 3. Now, remember last time, Bella Nipotina won in the spring up in Sydney when it sat right behind the leaders and won nicely. Now, surely from 3, they can be positive. Now, the only way they do that, if they want to win this race, they've got to be in front of Imperatriz. $7.50, I want to find out. It's only a little play, but I'm definitely not taking on Imperatriz. Matty, if you like it, it's a good bet. But I'm just going to have Bella on top, just hoping Johnny Allen rolls forward here. Because I think they've met 3 or 4 times now. And, geez, if Kieran Markamp are pretty smart, surely they're going, hey, we can't beat this horse if we sit behind it. I don't know. Final thoughts on that, Matty?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep this simple. I could have gone down Bella, I could have gone down IME, could have made the case for those, but look, being back at the Valley, being round a corner, I think you're going to see the better side of Imperatriz. I don't think it's suited down the straight at Flemington. I think it needs cover, and I think it needs a corner to be able to accelerate off, which it hasn't got, obviously, down the straight. So very happy to see this horse back at Moonee Valley. Mate, personally, I'm not betting on this horse right now. I'm going to wait until the day. I don't think it gets crunched. So I think you're going to get a chance to get this at $2 at some stage.
I agree. I reckon you'll get $2 at, close to $2, but I think the last 10 minutes, they'll just pile into this horse.
Yep.
Just because she's the best horse, and best horses win races. Simple, as you said. Rosehill, race 5, Randwick Stakes, Group 1, 2,000 metres. Matty. Oh, before we start in Sydney, I think Sydney's going to play exactly like last week. Lanes 1 and 2 will be off, especially if it stays in that soft 6. So be very wary and keep an eye on the track conditions. Your thoughts, race 5, Matty?
Race 5, I think the speed map here is going to be important. I don't see a whole lot of speed within the race, and for that reason, I think this is a race that Nash is going to be able to control from up front. Barrier number 2, think it over. I've got it on top. Now, I am very much going to be watching what the weather does here. I don't really want to get him too much worse than the soft 6 here. I think it over is better on a dry track than what it is a rain affected track. Soft conditions seems like it's going to be okay for the horse. For that reason, I'm quite happy for him to be with Think It Over. Nash controlling the race from up front. Going to be interesting to hear your thoughts on one of the imports in via Sistina. That is one that I am quite scared around, and probably the only horse I think is capable of topping Think It Over. So, Worm, I wouldn't mind your thoughts on the import and whether it's up to the standards of Think It Over.
Yeah, it's a cracking race. Military Mission leads here, I think, by default. Think It Over, I think, sits behind it. Barrier 1, that is just the scary thing for me for Think It Over. But Nash, very smart jockey, and I will not be questioning him. Yeah, you just go and watch Nash last start on Think It Over. It was 10 out of 10, and clear danger for me. This Place Du Carousel, I find it hard to get a read on this horse, considering it's hard to line up horses that race at Longchamp. I don't know if any horses run well out of that jurisdiction and come down here. But owned by Yulong, they're a bigger concern because they spend up buying all these great mares and they go like a busted in Australia. Interesting that they've gave this horse to Anthony and Sam Friedman. I think it might be a first for them. So keep an eye on it. Sam Friedman gave it a good rap on radio already, so that's a bit scary. Viva Sistina, is a horse I want to be with. If this horse runs or brings its second from the Champion Stakes in Europe from last year, this horse will be out the back near the rear and will be left for one last run if it runs to its style and voila. But it's got outside barrier, so I'm confident that will happen. Conditions it will suit because the day it ran second in Champion Stakes was an absolute bog and looked home for all money, but bought by Yulong. So there's a big concern. But I think market's going to be our biggest guide on these two horses. This horse is very talented, I reckon, Viva Sistina. And I can't wait to see how it goes up against Think It Over. And I'm just going to have something small on Viva Sistina to beat Think It Over.
So, Via Sistina,
Yeah.
tell me why it hasn't had a race before heading out to 2,000 metres. Why are we just seeing it for the first time? Well, generally speaking, I would have thought it might have had a run over 16, 18, then up to 2,000. This might have been its third up run.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It might be due to being only Canterbury being available for their what do you call it? Quarantine.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know where it heads after this. Maybe the Queen Elizabeth and over the championships. But yeah, very weird placement. But agree, I thought the rider might have been perfect for it to kick off and then go. But you don't know if this is Yulong inspired and pressured or Walla. So
No, interesting. It look, it is an interesting little race. As I said, I've got to be with the percentages, and that's why I will be with Think It Over. But a couple of imports here to keep our eye on.
yeah, 100%. And if you're part of the community, you got my little rundown of all the internationals that were running this Saturday and what I thought of them. I think one of them's a bet, and it's not Via Sistina. So not going to mention it anymore. And there's two others. Race 6, Rosehill Guineas, 2,000 metres, Group 1. Matty, your thoughts?
Well, going to keep it pretty simple here again as well, because if I don't, I can make it very complicated. That's not what I want to be doing. Well, Riff Rocket on top for me. First up, I thought it was exceptional. Second up, a little bit flat. Remind you of last preparation at all?
Yep.
This reminds me exactly of last preparation. I've seen enough now. It wasn't disgraced when it got done at Flemington, and you could definitely see that it wasn't 100%. So I'm quite comfortable to go back to last preparation and use that as a roadmap here, where it won by 5.5 lengths, third up, over 1,800 metres. So very similar, and that was a race where it beat Sunsource, Fist of Fury, Sunsets. So it wasn't an average race. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that this is average, but it hasn't got a whole lot of depth. If I'm looking Tom Kidden, I'm not seeing a whole lot past that that's really proven. You can make a case for King Colorado. I don't know if it's necessarily shown as much as what it has last preparation. I'm a big fan of the horse. And Worm, I know one that you've been keen on, Immediacy. I'm really keen to see how it goes up to the test here. It's well and truly up in class, and this is a lot harder, but this is a very talented horse. So wouldn't mind getting your thoughts on that horse, but Worm, if they're offering us 250 on Riff Rocket, I can't say no to that.
You mentioned King Colorado. Draws a barrier to sit quite handy here. So I think it can sit behind the leader. It gets every chance, but my knock will be 2,000 metres. Can it run 2,000 metres? I thought it was quite plain in the Australian Guineas. Might be looking for 2,000, but yeah, I guess we find out. It gets the perfect run. It's going to be no excuses. So I don't know. I know I put a sword to this horse early in this prep, that it will never win a race again, and I've got to stick to it. Nash is on Riff Rocket here, and needs to be switched on here from 7, I reckon, because it could be 3 wide, no cover, but it was a lovely run last start. I think it was better than what it looked. Just map disadvantage. For some reason, Willow went to the rail at Flemington and found trouble. Weird ride and tactics. So, yeah, Nash has got to be switched on, but if he is, he can easily find the perfect spot here from 7. Then the main dangers, well, Riff Rockets 1, Tom Kitten, and yeah, I just think Tom Kitten finally gets out to the trip that he loves, must respect the horse. Just worried from 2, it could be a real shit watch, but Nash jumps off, or did he get the ass? Because Huey Bowman goes on. That's an interesting booking. I think Huey might be quite positive on here and try and sit midfield. So, yeah, interesting runner. 350 is probably a touch short for me. I think it gets the blows if you do like it. Now, as you said, Matty, Imitacy, we finally get to see it against some A-grade 3-year-olds. Been beating up the B grades. Last start was a little bit unlucky, but picked itself up, extended like a good horse. Had a jump out since and went the Sydney way and handled itself quite well. I'm happy to be with this horse on top. $8, 1/3 play for here. Yeah, I'm bloody excited to see where this horse sits in the 3-year-old field. As I said, Riff Rocket, clear danger. Wouldn't talk you out of it, Matty, and you've made a very good case for it. One little horse here, Cafe Millennium. First time out the 2,000 metres, and after watching its last start, it will love 2,000 metres, but will be out the back. Might find the right horse to bring it in the race, which will be Imitacy. But yeah, Keen Imitacy can win.
Around about that $8.59, you'll probably even be able to get close to 10 on immediacy. I think it's a good 2-bet play, and I think your only danger is really going to be Tom Kitten.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Tom Kitten goes because he's been a little bit disappointing, but first 2 runs he's been in slowly run races, finally got a fast run race, and he just couldn't go with them at the end. So, yeah, ripper race this. I think it's like even Cap Ferret. I mentioned that earlier first up. So, yeah, could I let him go around at $26 without saying I think he can win a derby? So, yeah,
Bit
cracking
of a
race.
push from the stable with that one as well.
Of course there is. When I'm third up, Wallow, I've always said he's dangerous third up. Well, so is Riff Rocket.
I'm pretty sure the stable just want a little bit of money floating into that, so Riff Rocket drifts out and they can unload.
Just so we can see Debbie's face on the Sky Channel. That's just going to be beautiful. Her purple dress. It's $1.01. She's wearing a purple dress. So there's your fucking pineapple for the weekend. Take the $1.01 Debbie purple dress. Race 7, George Ryder, 1,500, Group 1. Matty, thoughts?
The dartboard is out. How many darts have I got? 19?
Yeah, you can have 19.
Okay, perfect. Mate, look, interesting race over the 1,500 metres here. Mate, a horse I'm going to be with down the bottom, or close to the bottom, number 18, NCAP. I thought this horse has been exceptional this preparation. Third in a Group 3, second in a Group 2, where it had no luck in that Hobartville, and then fifth in the Group 1 Randwick Guineas, where, again, it just got a little bit too far back from barrier number 10. Draws a barrier this time around. Blake shit on board, barrier number 2. Going to be able to sit much, much closer. And Worm, I think I told you, last time it actually drew a barrier was in the Golden Rose last year. And it sat 4th, ran second. Ran second to Militarize. This horse has got an enormous amount of ability. And at that, $9 mark at the moment, and I think we'll be able to get a little bit better than that. I'm quite happy to be with NCAP here, Worm. I'm not going to go through too many others. New Energy one is one that I'm quite keen to see, but yeah, the barrier definitely didn't help it too much. And if Golden Mile wins this, mate, I will give up the punt for good.
Right, I'll cut that up. This could be a really good show next week. I think you're right, though. I think it might be absolutely busted. I think that old 3-year-old crop is. Anyway, yeah, mate, I'm with you with the dartboard. This is a hard race to assess. The horses I want to give a tick off the form have just got horrible barriers and will be near last on my map. If I find any of those go forward, like Kovalika, Think About It, New Energy. And there's one more. No, that was it. Like, they're the three standouts for me. If they drew a barrier, that's the ones. Oh, Pericles as well. I wanted to go looking for them, but they're just poor barriers. And I think they're just going to go around for a barrier trial for the Donny or even Queen Elizabeth if they're going towards it. So couldn't really push them. Mighty Ulysses here, international, hard read on how it would go, but I saw its work with Zaki between races, and I thought it went really well. So at the $32, barrier 3, Tommy Mark went on. He might be one for your multiples or first fours. New Energy, yep. Oh, thought he was bloody good first up. Wanted to find him, barrier 16. Think about it. He's had poor bloods, so he's going to keep getting tested to see if he comes out or not. But he passed his first one afterwards. So he might be waiting for the Donny. I know they're pretty keen for it on the Donny. But yeah, Matty, I might have to. Oh, the other one is these 3-year-olds, how they're going to stack up against older horses like your militarized V8, NCAP, Tis Invincible. V8 last start, geez, he was leading the whole way down the straight until the last 100, just had enough. 1,500 now, it's his absolute max, I feel. This might be a trial run for the Golden Eagle to see if he can actually go this way and run the 1,500 strong. I don't think he will. I'm worried. D-Lane sticks, big tick, militarized, had his chance to win last start. But yeah, Matty, I'm with you on NCAP here. I just love his form lines back in the spring in his 3-year-olds. And last start, I think he was just ridden upside down due to the poor barrier. Draws an inside draw. Blake Shin, tick, tick, 950. I think the more I review it, the more I'm going to get confident on this, your tip here, Matt. So we'll move on before I have a bet. Race 8, Golden Slipper, Group 1, 1,200 metres.
Well, well, I need to understand the thinking behind J-Mac here. J-Mac jumping off Stormboy for Switzerland. Why? Why has this happened?
There's so many scenarios that can play in this. Like, did Ryan Moore have first pick? Or did J-Mac ridden both, gone, no, I'm going Switzerland. I think he's going better. I have heard reports about Stormboy not working as well. And that's why they put it around for a trial the other week. So I'm going to take the theory J-Mac wants to be on Switzerland.
Okay. All right. I can, yeah. Look, I guess Stormboy has been up for a while. Been up since the 2nd of December. That's the first run. So find herself in March, and I think that needs to be taken into consideration here. Now, I've got Stormboy on top, and I'd like someone to try and sell me how Switzerland gets on top of it just from a form perspective. So that's why I'm very interested to see. Obviously, I've got Mark Zahra in the back of mind in the Melbourne Cup, and he knew exactly what he was doing. So who am I to question James McDonald? But from a form perspective, I've got to have Stormboy on top. And then I think we look around the field here, and there's some decent form races, and a horse that I was with in the Blue Diamond Worm, Anisa. At $41 now, understanding it's jumping from barrier number 15, which is going to make it exceptionally hard and going to need some luck. But there is that is the only reason it should be paying any more than 20 is the fact that it's drawn the car park. So it is definitely going to need some luck. Whether Damien Lane needs to use too many tickets to get it forward, that may be a reason. But yeah, look, mate, I've got Stormboy on top. I can't say I'm exceptionally confident purely for the fact that J-Max jumped off. Love to hear your thoughts, though.
Yeah, he's the big. I think he's a talking point as well, a bit like Imperatriz, but I think it's bigger. Yeah, Ryan Moore goes on. Now, from the replays I've watched, Stormboy isn't clean out of these barriers. And Ryan Moore will need to be on his A game here to get the horse hunting for the lead. If this horse finds the lead, it will no doubt win this race. It'll be all over. But do I want to take the 230 that's offered for a horse that I think is going to be match scary because he's going to miss the kick? Now, Ryan Moore, European, they just like to find their feet where we hunt up our jockeys and, really push. So there's a few little negatives for me to definitely not lay it, but definitely not back this horse at the moment. Um, um, I think you're right about Nisa, but it's the Blue Diamond form I'm with. I think it's the right way. Now, it's not Hayes Sugi. I think it just gets too far back from 16. But listening to the trainer, oh my God, the confidence is absolutely sky high. So if you've backed this all three starts or any of these three starts at $18, you've got to go again. It is a great price for a horse that I think it's coming out of the right race. So in saying that, I think Lady of Camelot, Lady of Camelot was huge in the Blue Diamond, deserved to win, but Spywire came out in a fast tempo, went back to went out in a fast tempo. I think Hieronymus just had to try and stay with it just so he didn't get away from him. And he just got burnt up that last 50 meters. Now he's been back to the trials and I thought he went outstanding. Blake Shin goes on, barrier 5. That is tick, tick, every box right here. Gets the perfect run from 5. He can just sit off him or he can lead if he wants. And there's been money for him. So now 750, I think it's the right way. Now, Matty, you mentioned Switzerland, 3 wins this prep. They've all been good. Don't get me wrong. All nice wins, but always finds the perfect spot in small fields. This is a big field here. He's probably from barrier 7, he's going to find a nice spot, but will the horse handle the pressure of a big field and, going for home and possibly being busted? He's a hard one to assess. $4.80. I heard one of the tab traders say, please wait because he will get out to a good price if you do like him. Again, I can't lay him. I'm looking for something to lay and I just can't. I think Lady Camelot wins. I think there's only 3 horses I can feel can win the race. That's Storm Boy, Lady, and Switzerland. I think they're the A grade. The rest are all B grade, which you can't even split. But I feel the Blue Diamond race is the one we need to follow out of this. Coleman's run well 7 days ago. Dublin down 1 7 days ago. Both coming out of the Blue Diamond. And these are, Matty, you mentioned it, $43. Like, I can't even talk yet. I couldn't talk anyone out of that at $43. So he might be a little saver for me to, be the one in the Blue Diamond that gets us home. Any final thoughts?
No final thoughts, no, mate. If I have a look at this race one more time, I'm going to pick another 5 horses.
No, I've told you there's 3 only. All right, race 9, Galaxy 1100, Group 1.
Whew, mate, again, looking through this, I thought it was quite an open field, and I had another look at it, and there was a standout for me. And this horse, it's going to be first up since, what was it, even before the spring last year. It was September when it was running around. So, Sunshine in Paris, for me, is the Group 1 horse within this field. Drawing barrier number 2, Roll Maloney on board, and paying around about $7-8 at the moment. I was a little bit surprised. I thought it might have been a little bit shorter than that. Looking down the field, obviously Osmosis, Group 1 winner there, and there are a few Group 1 winners within the field, but I think the standout runner within this field is definitely Sunshine in Paris. So that's the way I'm going to be leaning. And I thought we're getting a pretty decent price. So I won't go any deeper than that because if we took Sunshine in Paris out of this field, that makes it very, very difficult. So quite happy to be with it and it alone.
When I looked at it, I thought this is an absolute cracking Galaxy. But when I dived into it, I'm like, geez, there's not many chances in this race. So Private Eye, geez, he was a little hidden run that they like to say. Was out the back and hit the line hard, but his last 100 metres was quite soft, I thought. I thought he could have gone better. So and from 14, he's going to be back and wide. The two horses that jumped out well that I thought can win off their jump out is Uncommon James and Osmosis. Half Cabin was unlucky last start. Could have pushed the winner passive aggressive if it had any more luck. Gets J-Mac, barrier 8, 550 is probably the right price. But I've gone with you, Matty, in Sunshine in Paris here. Now, we haven't even spoken before during the week about this horse. So it's scary how well we line up because its most recent jump out was sneaky and kept under a hold, and I like that. Could have let it go on, could have let it go from out of first gear, but they didn't. First up last time beat Espiona, who's been running well this autumn prep. Barrier 2, they can hunt up behind the leaders and launch late. Barrier 2 is a little concern if lanes 1 and 2 are off, but he can use barrier 2 here, Ryan Maloney, and let the horse in barrier 1 sit where he is and then peel out when they're straightening to get into the lanes. So I'm happy to have a 1x3 bet here on Sunshine in Paris. Yeah, there's not much more I want to say about the race because I think we've found the winner.
Mate, I could click through the rest quite quickly, and again, for that 750, I think it's a really good price.
Yep, and I think they'll come for it. Yeah, I got nothing more to add. You?
No more. That is 6 Group 1s down.
Yeah, I've got no bets around the grounds because I've done all my talking in Sydney. So if you want to follow me in Sydney, yeah, I've given some good pushes, so they can be my around the grounds. Yours, Matty?
Oh, mate, I'll just mention Riff Rocket is my best up in Sydney this weekend.
We might be going head-to-head, I reckon. That's good. I don't mind a head-to-head. We've lined up so many times. It's about time we're going head-to-head for once. Multi, Matty, I'm going to stick to footy because I've gone 1 from 1 in footy, so I'm going to keep the trend. I'm going to take Freo to beat North Melbourne, and I'm going to take Port Adelaide to beat Richmond. Both teams are away. So what are you throwing in?
So which way are the Tigers going to kick? With the wind or without the wind?
Unfortunately, I want to scream that out when they toss it, but I'm with my kids on Sunday and I want to behave and just have a great time at the footy. That's all. But I'm so tempted to scream.
That's very good of you. Mate, around the grounds, that's all for me. But for the multi, we will be going Riff Rocket, the place, and Sunshine in Paris, the place.
Like
if we want to be playing just a little side multi, I'll be playing both of those to win as well.
Oh, okay. Confidence. I like it. So yeah, Freo to beat North, Riff Rocket to run a place, Sunshine in Paris to run a place, and Port Adelaide on Sunday to beat Richmond. Comes to around $7.70. So I think that's a good price to get involved. Hopefully we can get that going. Pineapple. It's definitely not the races we've mentioned, Matty.
Okay.
I was keen on one that we mentioned, but your confidence has scared me. So
okay,
it's not that one. We're going to go Rosehill. We're going to go race 4.
Ooh, okay.
We're going to land on number 2 here, Brave Mead. First up, beat King Colorado, beat Stapati. Had a jump out, went well. Then the Caulfield on Blue Diamond Day, it was just a shit watch. Half missed the kick, had to sit last, tried to go around him on a day that you needed to be close to the rail. That run was absolutely massive. Not much more it could have done. Been to the jump out since. Went well again without trying too much. And I just think $4.60 for a horse that gets Blake Shin, barrier 5, finds the right spot if it jumps clean. I think it's a great bet at $4.60. I can't have anywhere near $3.70 of Schwartz. I loved his win at Flemington back in November. He won like a good horse, but The second horse only just won at Pakenham. So that's a scary thing. Jump outs haven't been very entertaining at all. So might be, we call it like the hamburger with a lot. Lay, Schwartz, back, Brave, Mead. Yeah, Matty, any thoughts on that race?
I'm glad you covered off Swartz. I was going to ask you about David because I thought you were a big fan. Yeah, look, interesting. This horse, it definitely has a few trials before it goes to the races.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how it comes back. I don't mind that. Brave Mead was exceptional last start.
Yeah, it sticks to the 1200 again, which is interesting, but yeah, I'm not going to question that. But yeah, it just needs to run to its form, and I think it'll be winning $4.60.
Mate, not a deep field whatsoever.
No, 100%. There's a lot of dead weight in the race, and I think if he jumps to the front and or sits outside leader, that's going to be perfect for us. Yep, he's a good bet to have. I think
Well
$4.60.
found.
Any final thoughts on a massive day of racing?
Ooh, no, just it was nice just previewing all 6 of the Group 1s. So
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing a couple of these salute. I think we've found a few winners for the community.
Yeah, I've just watched someone maybe kick goal of the year for St Kilda. That was massive.
What is a footy score?
Collingwood are down by 20 points.
Ooh, that's a shame.
Who would have thought Collingwood 0-3?
Ooh.
I'm gobsmacked. That goal was truly amazing. Watch it. Jack Higgins just kicked it. Wowee. Might have been out of bounds as well. Yeah, it were massive weekend, guys. It's bloody going to be hard. So join the community, get our thoughts. More importantly, you can put your thoughts up. It's going to be a crack. It is bloody hard, but I love hard weekends because you got to work harder, I reckon, to find them. So come jump on board. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, rate, DM. I have a guy emailing me every week that watches our show. So thank you. Your name escapes me again, but appreciate your love, your support, everyone out there. We'll be back next week. Take 2. It's Australia Cup next week, not this week. Have a lovely weekend and yeah, go well and back plenty of winners.